like, share, subscribe. Shouts out to the Lions Den community. And don't y'all forget to subscribe to the podcast show. Link will be pinned in the top of the chat.
Just name the channel who could bang with us. I'll prove that you are smoking dust. GTV Media is top notch in this game, y'all. You failures only have yourself to blame, y'all. Ticket TV and a weapons make you suckers cry. Why don't you close your channel, crawl into a hole and die? Shout out to those who love our movement, no, we'll never flop until you get your mouth off LGBT. We are the underground out the job. We built this whole thing by ourselves, no in y'all. Independence start with self-preservation. If you can't take care of self, then how can you build a nation, y'all? Yup, we got that merch for the ladies and yes, we even got that merch for the babies and we got appliances and everything that you will need. We got some banging songs that make anemic haters bleed.
Hey, man, y'all press one if y'all can hear me in the comments, man. I got a mic check, man. Press one if y'all can hear me, man. Y'all went for it again, man. Didn't I tell y'all my video this morning, man? Hey, man, I stay cooking these dudes, man. Didn't I tell y'all this? That's why I told all these dudes, man, put up any amount of money y'all got. I'm take your chips, nigga. If any of you niggas got any money, nigga, just put your money up. I'm gonna take your chips. I'm gonna take I'm gonna take all y'all niggas chips. No question about it. They lying to y'all. Didn't I tell y'all this morning in the video? The first video I put out this morning? What did I tell y'all in the video, man? That the feds were streamlining. They have not dropped charges against Diddy. Diddy is still facing sex trafficking. He's still facing solicitation of transportation of prostitution. He's still facing the RICO. I told you guys this. The only thing that the feds were doing is, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to say it again to y'all, because some people are very hard of hearing, man. They were no longer planning to proceed on certain theories of liability under the RICO, man. That don't mean that they dropping his charges. They're just not going to press the issue in the charging. How do I know? I got a 118-page document. These people crazy as hell. If you saw my video, I'm the first one that did a video this morning. Early this morning, I'm the first one that did a video. In that video, I told y'all elements of the RICO. This is exactly what I told y'all, right? When everybody says charge, they're thinking that, oh, they dropped the charges, the feds ain't got nothing. Are you crazy? Didn't I tell y'all this morning? I'm the first one that made a video this morning. Go look. And a calculated move that reveals their strategy before the end game. This is a strategy by the prosecution that's working. It's working in court today. What the hell is wrong with these people? I'm going to break it down for y'all real quick. In a calculated move that reveals their strategy for endgame, the federal prosecutors in the Sean Combs trial have reshaped the battlefield for the jury. A legal filing from last night shows that the government is making a tactical retreat on some of the fronts while digging in on the other ones. On the surface, the move is about streamlining. Prosecutors are dropping several of these RICO. When we talk about charges, we're not talking about what he's being charged. Listen, let me break this down to y'all again, because I said this morning. I don't know why people don't have common sense, bro. This is so hilarious. These niggas think they know something. Stupid. Stuck on it. Ladies and gentlemen, Diddy, the RICO is one individual charge, okay? You have acts underneath racketeering. that Diddy has been accused of. Then you have the sex trafficking charges. He's got charged with 2 sex trafficking charges and 2 solicitation, transportation, and prostitution charges. And then he's charged with the RICO. And the RICO, there are multiple elements to the RICO. Multiple elements in which Diddy was accused with, right? These are predicate acts. Read the right-hand top side of your screen. I told y'all this morning. RICO predicate category. The only thing the feds are doing is saying, okay, since Diddy's lawyers want to be assholes and try to be funny and confuse the jury, this is what we're going to do. We're just going to take this part out of the charging element. What do I mean charging? When they read, right? When they read the charging documents to the jury, man, which is why they have court today. They're going to leave out some aspects. They haven't dropped the charges against him. The charges are still there. They're just going to leave them out of their argument so that they don't confuse the jury. Janet Jackass, y'all all rambling. I told everybody, go listen to the first video I made today. This is why I continue to stir fry niggas on YouTube. They all stupid. All these niggas stuck on stupid. Stupid asses. It's crazy, man. Oh, Diddy gonna get free, man. See, they had nothing. They dropped the charges. No, they didn't. They literally didn't. But this is why you have stupidity going on in this world. So the attempted kidnapping under the RICO, right? The aiding and abetting in sex trafficking, right? Right? They're no longer planning to proceed on these theories of liability under the RICO. That doesn't mean that, oh, they dropped all these charges. Are you crazy? Something is wrong with these people mentally. And they're going to tell me they don't know nothing about the law. They just come on here saying stupid shit like a bunch of damn fools. That's why I told niggas, any of you niggas put y'all money up, nigga. And I'm going to destroy all these dudes on YouTube. Let me tell y'all something. All these fake pro-blacks, they run around here always talking about how the system's jacked up. Man, the system jacked up towards niggas. The system jacked up towards niggas. But y'all think the system's going to be fair to Diddy, huh? Can't never use that lame-ass excuse no more then. That excuse out the window. Repeat what I just said. This going to go past everybody's head what I just said. These niggas always use, I'm going to tell y'all what they do. They always say, man, see, the system ain't right, man. The system is on some BS, man. They always going against a nigga. But for some reason, they think Diddy's going to be found not guilty. The system's going to work for him. Make it make sense. Which one is it, nigga? You can't pick and choose when you want to. When the system is good for you and when it's not good for you. You can't pick and choose. Once again, so let me complete stir fry these niggas. So below the surface, this filing that happened is a meticulous effort by the government to preemptively dismantle Diddy's lawyers' arguments and guide the jury through the complex and often counterintuitive realities of sex trafficking law. Not what these niggas on YouTube are saying, because they don't know shit about sex trafficking. They don't know anything about sex trafficking on YouTube. They just run in their fucking mouth. But when they give them the jury charges, the law, the sex trafficking rule by law is going to be explained. And Diddy's getting his head torn off in court today. Y'all smash the like button. And salute to everybody donate to the Cash App PayPal link pinned at the top. I'm definitely cooking. These niggas stuck on stupid. And this is why I told y'all, did none of them niggas put their money up when I asked. I did an open bet. Did none of them niggas put their bread up because they don't know what they talking about. They all stuck on stupid, bro. It's crazy. I've never seen it ever nothing like this before. Let me say this again, y'all. Right? So the core of the prosecution strategy is clear. They're willing to sacrifice these lesser elements in the RICO, right? to focus the jury's attention entirely on the main counts of sex trafficking and forced labor, which we're going to talk about right now because Diddy just took a major L in court. These niggas don't listen to me. However, they are keenly aware that these are extremely complex legal concepts about which jurors may have preconceived, mistaken notions, just like all these buffoons on YouTube have preconceived, mistaken notions that they don't even know the law. Half of these niggas will be locked up and be in prison because they don't know shit about the law. You can just tell. They don't even know the law. How can you operate if you don't know the law, bro? It's crazy as hell, right? So let's fast forward all this, right? So none of the charges against Diddy were dropped. Now let's get to this right here. Today in court, this man got his head absolutely barbecued in court today. And this was absolute, I'm talking about absolute destruction. No question about it. Absolute destruction. So the judge made some very, very, very serious rulings against Sean P. Diddy Combs today, okay? Now, for you guys who don't know what I'm talking about, let me fill you in, okay? All right? So, the judge says, be seated, okay? So we resolved the verdict form. So let's go through the charge. On page 1, is there any objections? The government says no. Diddy's lawyer says no, right? Government says no. Diddy lawyer says no. No, I don't want to hear about you win. No. These niggas said Diddy was walking, sir. I don't want to hear about your bet. My bet is Diddy is not walking free. These niggas say Diddy is walking free. Don't nobody want to hear nothing about what you're saying, Charlie Green. The bet is that Sean Diddy Combs is found guilty and will go to prison. These niggas is running around YouTube saying that Sean Diddy Combs is going to be acquitted and walk free. That's what they say. I'm telling each and every last one of them, bring your money, sucker. That's all you got to do is bring your money. And I'm going to take your shit, nigga. Now, let me get back to this. Stir frying, right? And y'all can make all the fake accounts y'all want. I'm just going to block your ass. So, the judge says, okay, so we resolved the verdict form. So let's go through the charge. On page 1, are there any objections? The government says no. Diddy's lawyer says no. The judge says on page 2, I'm going to take out the references to the jury being the judge of the facts. We say that 3 times. Diddy's lawyer says we don't have anything until page 13. The government says same here. The government says on page 13, on the conspiracy, a person need not know everyone else for it to be a conspiracy. That's true. The government says they don't have to have full knowledge of the RICO conspiracy, only that they agree to 2 predicate acts. So what does that mean? This is easy. They're saying that everybody that was in the RICO doesn't have to know that everybody else had different roles in the RICO for it to be a RICO. This is easy, simple mathematics. But you can tell a lot of these dudes, they went to school and didn't listen. And they had sorry ass teachers that passed them in school and these dudes are stuck on stupid, bro. It's hilarious. So let me keep going, y'all, right? So then the government says they don't have full knowledge of the RICO conspiracy, only that they agreed to 2 predicate acts. The judge says, your response to Diddy's lawyers. Diddy's lawyer says, we object. That's not the argument I was making in Rule 29 when they asked for dismissal or acquittal, right? As to Mrs. Courtroom, Christina Courtroom, did she know of the hotel rooms? Is what Diddy lawyer said. What the hell do you mean did she know of the hotel rooms, you damn fool? Christina Courtroom was in the middle of all this shit. How wouldn't she know about the hotel rooms? Diddy's lawyers. So then the judge took the L to him. He says, I overrule the government's objection. I added language from the Sands Treaty after, right, the government's letter of last evening. The judge says, we propose in line 21 that you add the actions should be considered as well. And this made this argument to Judge Lehman last year in the Bruce Garlick trial, right? The judge says, I think this instruction is clear enough for the jury. That being said, Diddy's lawyers, the defense, can make arguments about this in summation to make their point. I reject Diddy's lawyer's suggestion on that point. Anything more on page 13? The government says I have one on page 12. Diddy's lawyer says what the government has referred to as the nature of the agreement. The judge said, I think that's right. I overrule the objection of the government. Let's move to page 14. Diddy's lawyer says on line 9, the government's markup of last night. The judge says page 15. The government says we have an objection to line 2 at the very top. It says that the enterprise has to be the same throughout. We think it's confusing in this particular case where we speak of the inner circle versus the core, the chief of staff and the security. For example, D-Rock was security at the beginning. Fahim was security at the end. The same person does not have to stay in that position. The judge says, well, what do you propose? The government says some of the core of the enterprise has to be the same throughout. The judge says people are not the core. The judge says this does not mean that every person has to be the same, but the core aspects have to be the same. Diddy's lawyer says that might be inconsistent with Boyle, the Supreme Case Court. The government says we could say the members of the organization can change. The judge says the danger is that the jury think that they have to make findings under each racketeering act, right? Diddy's lawyer says, can you give me a minute, right? Then the 118-page document drops. And I'm going to go over that with y'all. That's crazy. Then the judge says, I have one thing. He says, page 20, question mark. I have one thing to raise. Diddy's lawyer says, Mrs. Driscoll has reminded me of another suggestion we have. This comes from the Ocasio versus U.S. You have to blame the Supreme Court. Now, Driscoll says they have to prove the conspirators agreed to commit each element, is what Diddy's lawyer says. The judge says, give me the full sentence. Diddy's lawyer says on page 19, line 4, after the words accurately occurred, you could add that each conspirator must be aware of each substantial racketeering offense. The government says we are not required to show that there was an ongoing federal investigation, right? The judge said the statute has its elements, using threat to hinder complaint to law enforcement or judge. Diddy's lawyer says there has to be a showing the victim intended to approach federal law enforcement, had knowledge of federal aspect of the offense, right? The government says, well, the government is not going to proceed on 1512C2, and we ask you not instruct the jury to do that. The judge says, I assume there is no objection. Diddy's lawyer says, certainly not. Then the government says, on the forced labor, the government will be arguing that certain acts can be labor. Now, this is the part I'm telling y'all about. Remember I told y'all this shit? This is where they get ethered in court. Now, I need everybody to listen. Smash the like button, share the video, like the video. They got their ass handed to them. Share the video, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. The government says on the forced labor. Now, remember I told y'all this morning. I told everybody. I said, bro, they're going to get them on the forced labor for the sex and the workers. This is the reason why they mentioned in the case that the sex workers would be working, that Diddy had these girls doing 8 hours. Let me repeat myself again. 4 days straight sex sessions, right? They would have pre-calls for 4 days straight. That's forced labor, even with the sex workers. Even with the girls. That's forced labor. to have them having sex like that. And I also told y'all they showed you the forced labor through the people that was in the enterprise that was working for Diddy. How Diddy had these people working 5 straight days without rest. How they testified they were working 3 and 4 straight days without rest. How they testified they were working 80 to 100 hours a week. That's illegal, right? Especially if you wasn't paying the people what you're supposed to pay them in your working aspect, in your business aspect, which Roger Bonds, he said that. But I got a whole different video coming about Bonds later on. We're going to talk about him later on. But watch this, y'all. So they're using the R. Kelly. Did I tell y'all this? Did I tell y'all? It says on the forced labor, the government will be arguing that certain sex acts can be labor, right? Now, right? We will be building, says the government, off the R. Kelly case. Let me repeat myself again. The government is going to be building off how they convicted R. Kelly. I told you, Lebowski, it says we will be building off the R. Kelly case, says the government. Diddy's legal team, the defense, argues that the victims are well off. So we need to make this clear to the jury. Diddy's lawyer says, no, we object to that. Diddy's lawyer says, we are not arguing that sexual acts cannot be labor. Rather, that the victims here were not particularly vulnerable, like from other countries without immigration status. The government says in R. Kelly, the Second Circuit said sexual labor falls within the statute. The judge says, I overrule the government's objection. The government said, in closing, we will be making this argument. And he meant he overruled Diddy's lawyer's objection. That's what he meant. I overrule Diddy's lawyer's objection, the defense's objection. The government says, in closing, we'll be making this argument. They're going to be talking about the R. Kelly situation in the closing argument. Diddy's going to prison. Then let's talk about this, right? Somebody says Diddy, R. Kelly didn't have $1 billion. It didn't matter. Because guess why? A couple cats had more money than Diddy, and they ass in prison right now. The dude that's sitting in jail right now, Diddy got more money than him. What's the dude? Saxman, what's you call? He got more money than Diddy. He's sitting in jail right now in MDC, Brooklyn. Shut your ass up. Now let's keep going, right? And shoots out to everybody sending donations to the Cash App and to the PayPal link pinned at the top. Diddy's not going free. I'm telling y'all this right now. How is Diddy going free on Friday when they have court on when he has court on when they have the jury deliberations don't start till Monday? Blocked. Stop coming here with these fake ass channels. I'm gonna keep blocking you, dog. I know they bought channels for y'all to go around here and troll and make it seem like everybody's supporting Diddy. That shit don't work over here, brother. We got highly intelligent people over here that have a brain to think, you damn fool. Now let's keep going, y'all. So the judge overruled Diddy's lawyer's objection. They're going to be using the R. Kelly case in their closing arguments against Diddy. Now y'all listen to this, right? So the judge says, I overruled their objection, right? And so the government says, in closing arguments, we will be making this argument. They're going to be using the R. Kelly case. The judge says, absolutely, sexual services can count as labor under the statute. That's why Diddy's lawyer said, you know what? That's why the government said, we're not going to focus so much on the other stuff. We're going to nail his ass to the jury on this key stuff that we know that they don't have no problem understanding. So people saying that, they they dropped the charges. No, they didn't. When the jury gets the actual charge things, they're not going to push that issue in closing. They're going to focus on the issues that they dead have to dead rights. They know without a shadow of a doubt. And one of them is forced labor. And the judge has just agreed with them today in court and overruled Diddy's lawyer's objection. The judge says, absolutely, sexual services can count as labor under the law, right? So when these girls were saying that they was having sex for 4 straight days, right? Then being put on IVs, all this other stuff, that's right there counts as forced labor. I told y'all that this morning in the first video, but these dudes don't want to listen to me. Go back and listen to my first video for everybody came out here lying on YouTube. And I told y'all this. These people are damn fools. So, again, right? The judge then says, just to move this along, because it's getting late, I will add reference to the forced labor statute. On the other hand, I'm including a mens rea requirement in light of the vagueness challenge from Diddy's lawyers. Diddy's lawyers said, well, no, we think that's insufficient. The judge says, well, the government is going to argue full-throttedly that there was knowledge, mens rea, right? Diddy's lawyer says, oh, well, this offense was not in the initial indictment. We are not required to object to the U.S. request to charge, right? Diddy's lawyer says, if the government is now changing what they're going to argue with respect to the drugs, the jurors will notice it. It should be addressed. The judge says, I agree with that. I agree, right? Now let's keep going, because it gets funkier, right? The government says, in Wexler, the sentence about the buyer-seller exception, it should be construed narrowly. Diddy's lawyer said, that's the context here. The judge says, I'm going to reserve on this the buyer-seller exception to conspiracy to distribute drugs. The judge says, any objections on the special sentencing factor? Both sides say no. The judge says, so the counts 2 and counts 4, we're almost to the finish line. Diddy's lawyer says, the court has added that there is no requirement that a sex act be performed. We object. Diddy's lawyer says, to the to-wit clause of counts 2 and counts 4, the U.S. used that to trigger the 15-year minimum. 15-year minimum, and detain Mr. Combs, alleged that these victims engaged in commercial sex acts, as did the Enterprise letters. So this would be a constructive amendment. The March 10th Enterprise letter said they will provide commercial sex acts. The judge says the government is going to be arguing that commercial sex acts occurred. What do we do here? The government says this is blown out of proportion. We're not bound by to-wit clauses. The government says there may be particular days the jury finds that the acts were not completed, like when Jane testified that an escort was sent away. That's what we propose this instruction. We listed the dates in the Enterprise letter, right? So what the judge is doing here is the judge is creating great balance in this situation, right? Right? And this is elementary legal principle. For example, on the issue with the government's problems that are regarding the RICO count, right? It's elementary legal principle that someone cannot conspire with themselves. Someone cannot aid and abet himself. With the respect of the RICO sex trafficking predicate, right? Right? Who committed the sex trafficking which Diddy was charged with? Aiding and abetting, right? That is what's going to be questioned. I want y'all to think about this and what we're saying right here, right? Please listen to what I'm saying to y'all, right? Right? And so mens rea, it means that the individual acted with a conscious and deliberate intention to commit the crime, right? Right? Listen what I'm saying, right? Right? So this is what I'm saying to y'all. Listen what I'm saying. So the forced labor statute in regard to sex acts is a major win for the prosecution. That's a major win for the prosecution. And these are all facts, right? Now, let me tell y'all real quick about what they dropped. And they dropped 118-page APOM bomb out here on these streets, y'all. Right? I'm talking about they dropped a major one, right? Now, right? Let me say this to y'all, right? Diddy's lawyers are saying we're not conceding on the statute. The 15-year minimum only applies if it's triggered. A1 doesn't require force, fraud, or coercion necessarily. This is a due process issue. Attempt is already captured here, is what Diddy's lawyers are saying, right? But Diddy's lawyers Diddy's lawyers are sharp. But they already know they don't have enough. They already know they don't have enough. Right? It's crazy work. It's crazy work. Right? So now let's get to this, right? Let's get to this. Hold on one second, you guys. Hold on. I want to show y'all something. Right? Hold on one second, you guys. Hold on. And to the people who don't understand forced labor, they basically did tell y'all forced labor. Because you haven't to have these women have sex for 4 straight days, freak offs, that's forced labor. Point blank, period. That is forced labor. And then you had the messages where these girls are saying, yo, you treat me like a prostitute, you treat me like a whore, and all this other stuff like that. You know, along those lines, you had those messages. I'm telling y'all this. So now let's move to the big paperwork, which is the request to charge from the government. Now, this is the big one right here, y'all. Now, the government just dropped 118-page Ether napalm bomb on Diddy's legal team. Now, for you guys who don't know, let me read this to y'all, right? Right? Now, y'all need to listen up. Everybody smash your like button, share the video, and listen up. So, request number 1, this is from the government, right? General request. The government respectfully requests that the court give its usual instructions to the jury on the following matters. A, the function of the court and jury. B, the statement of the court and counsel, not evidence. C, the government as a party. D, indictment, not evidence. E, dates in indictment, not exact. F, burden of proof. G, presumption of innocence. H, reasonable doubt. I, number of witnesses. See, I is going to destroy Diddy. Number of witnesses. When they say that the government had 34 witnesses, think about this. And Diddy's legal team says we had 0 witnesses. Game over, sucker. The jury's going to look at that and say, hold on, man. This man couldn't get 1 witness to get on the stand? I want you to think about that. 34 witnesses to 1. Imagine if you had 34 people telling you one thing and somebody else didn't have any witnesses. What are we talking about? But let's keep going. I digress. J, direct and circumstantial evidence. K, interferences. L, credibility of witnesses. This is another thing that the feds are going to hit at. I guarantee y'all the feds are going to hit at this. And y'all smash the like button. We should have over 2,000 likes. Check it out, y'all. The feds are going to hit at this point right here. I want y'all to listen to this, right? The credibility of the witnesses. The feds are going to say, look, Diddy's lawyers had an opportunity to cross-examine our witnesses because they were willing to get on the stand and testify under the penalty of perjury, right? Some of them, they needed immunity deals to cover themselves from criminal activity being charged. Why didn't Diddy have any witnesses come testify on his behalf? So there would be no way you could question their credibility. Why didn't Diddy get on the stand? So there'll be no way you can question his credibility on the stand. That's why he didn't have any witnesses. That's why, let me say this to y'all again. Everybody asked me specific questions. The dude with the fake beefcake, the Punisher, he asked, well, I wonder why they called me. Lebowski, they called you because you didn't have a jacked up background. Let me give y'all an example, right? Roger Bond's name was mentioned many times throughout this trial, right? But Roger Bonds was never called up. You know why Roger Bonds was never called up? Because Roger Bonds is an ex-con. So even if Roger Bonds is telling the truth, what's going to happen on cross? They're going to go at Roger Bonds and they're going to try to shoot down his credibility because he's an ex-con. That's the reason why they didn't put Roger Bonds on the stand. I was going to talk about that in a different video, but I'm going to give y'all that right now, just because I'm smart enough to. The government cut some witnesses because they didn't want to have any witnesses that had any kind of criminal history or that anything that Diddy's lawyers could try to discredit. Diddy's lawyers couldn't put nobody on the stand because they literally, let me say this again, they literally couldn't get nobody that was credible to go up there enough and testify for Diddy. These are facts. That's why y'all need to listen to what I'm saying. I know what the hell I'm talking about. That's the reason all the information Roger Bonds had, Roger Bonds easily could have tied up this whole case. But what Diddy's lawyers would have did was they would have muddied the waters and tried to make Roger Bonds seem like a real criminal because Roger Bonds was an ex-con. But I still, if it was me, I would have put Roger on the stand because I would have still said, okay, if he's an ex-con and you don't trust him, why did Diddy hire him? Did Diddy know he was the ex-con when he hired him? So you still hired this guy, he was an ex-con. Now you know what Diddy's gonna try and say, or try and give people other chances and blah blah blah. But they would have went, Diddy's legal team would have tried to bring up all kind of stuff in Roger Bond's past and make him seem like a lot. They would have discredited him, so it wasn't worth the risk of even putting him on the stand when you already have enough without him. Same thing with D-Rock. D-Rock is an ex-convict. So if you're the government, you don't even want to make a deal with him, put him on the stand. Because how's that going to look? Think about what I'm saying to y'all. You have to think about these things that I'm saying to y'all. So most of the people they put on the stand did not have bad background issues like been locked up in prison, any of this stuff, because Diddy's lawyers would have brought it up. They didn't bring it up for any of these witnesses. That's why when they talk about credibility of witnesses, that's going to mean something too. None of these witnesses had criminal background. None of these witnesses had stuff coming in about the questionability about them as just as a normal American citizen. Use your brains. M, no outside communications, outside research, or internet research. That's why I told y'all he gonna get found guilty. As loud as these people talk on the internet, it's not gonna matter in that courtroom. N, jury recollection governs. O, notes taken by jurors. P, right to see exhibits and have testimonies read during deliberation. Q, improper considerations. R, punishment is not to be considered by the jury. That's important. The jury cannot consider what Diddy will be punished with if he's convicted. See, some people will allow themselves to say, oh, if he gonna get life, I'm gonna say not guilty because I don't think he should get life. But see, the jury is gonna be ordered to not think about that type of stuff because that could sway the minds of some of the jurors. You guys got to use y'all brains when you walk with me on this YouTube channel. Smash the like button. So here's my point, right? A juror, if they think Diddy's gonna get life for a crime that they feel like, I don't think it's a life offense, they may just change their answer just because they don't want to be responsible for getting him life. But what they have to be told is and instructed is that the punishment of Diddy is not to be considered by the jury. Only thing the jury does is, and I'm going to tell y'all this again, the only thing the jury does is deliberate on whether he's innocent or guilty. The judge is the one that determines the sentencing and time. Now, the next one, S, sympathy, the oath of the jurors, right? So the jurors have to be sworn, right? T, duty to weigh evidence without prejudice. That means you have to look at the evidence without being one-sided. U, duty to base the verdict on the evidence. That's why he gonna get found guilty. V, verdict of guilt or innocence must be unanimous. So once again, everybody keep talking about Diddy's gonna walk. These people are effing idiots. That's why I took any bet. I took any bet on YouTube that Diddy does not walk out. And I bet anything Diddy is not found not guilty on all counts and walks out of prison. I bet anybody. Nobody took that money bet. None of them took the bet because they know they full of shit. Let's keep going, y'all. Smash the like button, right? So request number 2, the indictment. The defendant, Sean Combs, is formally charged in an indictment. The indictment itself is neither evidence nor proof of his guilt. The indictment is a charge or accusation. It describes the charges made against Diddy. And an indictment is the formal method of bringing a case into the court for trial and determination by a jury. It creates no presumption that a crime was committed, and no inference of any kind may be drawn from an indictment. You may not consider an indictment as any evidence of the defendant's guilt. The fact that the defendant is the subject of this indictment and is on trial here may not be used against him in any way whatsoever. I will not read the entire indictment to you at this time. Rather, I will first summarize the offenses charged in the indictment and then explain in detail the elements of each of the offenses. The indictment contains 5 counts against Diddy. I am briefly going to summarize each count, and then we'll give you the law in greater detail. Diddy's still being charged with all 5 counts. These niggas running on YouTube lying. Count 1, charges. Let me read this clear to everybody on YouTube. Count 1, charges. And I'm reading from the requested charge form from the government that was just filed today. Count 1, charges that from at least in or about 2004 through 2024, the defendant, that's the last 20 years, y'all. The defendant, Sean Diddy Combs, right, conspired or agreed with others to conduct and participate directly and indirectly in the conduct of the affairs of an enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity, which pattern of racketeering activity included multiple acts involving kidnapping, arson, bribery, witness tampering, forced labor, sex trafficking, transportation for the purposes of prostitution, and narcotics conspiracy and violation of Title 18 United States Code, Section 1962D. Count 2, charges that from at least 2009 up into including in or about 2018, Sean Diddy Combs committed sex trafficking of victim number 1 by force, threats of force, fraud, or coercion, right? Listen to what I said to y'all. By force, threats of force, fraud, or coercion, or any combination of such means in violation of Title 18 United States Code, Sections 1951 and 2. Count 3, charges that from at least in or about 2009 up to and including in about 2018, the defendant, Sean Diddy Combs, did knowingly transport an individual in interstate and foreign commerce with the intent that such individual engage in prostitution in violation of Title 18 United States Code, sections 2421A and 2. Count 4 charges that from at least in or about 2021 up to and including in or about 2024. The defendant, Sean Combs, committed sex trafficking of victim number 2 by force, threats of force, or coercion, or any combination of such means in violation of Title 18 United States Code, sections 1951 and 2. Count 5 of the indictment charges that between in or about 2021 up to and including in or about 2024, the defendant did knowingly transport individuals in interstate and foreign commerce with the intent that such individual engage in prostitution in violation of Title 18 United States Code, sections 2421A and 2. You must consider each count separately and return a separate verdict on each count. Whether you find Diddy guilty or not guilty as to one offense should not affect your verdict as to any other offense charged, unless you are instructed otherwise. You may only find Diddy guilty of a particular count if the government has proven each element of the offense charged with respect to that count beyond a reasonable doubt. Request number 3, general definitions of aiding and abetting. Before I instruct you on each of the counts specifically, I will define some terms and concepts that will come up repeatedly through these instructions. Specifically, I will be discussing the concepts of conspiring to commit various crimes, attempt in aiding and abetting various crimes, so it makes sense to explain these concepts at the outset. Similarly, we will discuss whether certain actions are taken knowingly, willfully, intentionally, or unlawfully. So I will also define those terms or these terms before we discuss the counts. You can take these explanations and definitions and apply them as I instruct you on each of the counts. First, I want to instruct you on the concept of aiding and abetting in connection with counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Sean Combs is charged with committing certain criminal acts and also with aiding and abetting the commission of those acts. As to each of these crimes, Diddy can be convicted either if he committed the crime himself or if he aided and abetted the commission of the crime by one or more people. It is not necessary for the government to show that the defendant himself physically committed a crime for you to find him guilty. If you do not find beyond a reasonable doubt that Diddy physically committed a crime, you may, under any circumstances, still find him guilty of the crime as an aider or an abettor. So once again, they're saying, hey, even if you don't think Diddy physically committed that crime, you can still find him guilty just by aiding and abetting in that crime. So if they even think that Diddy had anything to do with any of those crimes, even if they don't think he did it, he still should be found guilty. I told you niggas, y'all don't want to listen. Let's keep going. Aiding and abetting Liability is its own theory of criminal liability. In effect, it is a theory of liability that permits a person to be convicted of a specific crime if the person, while not himself committing the crime, assisted another person or persons in committing the crime. Under the federal aiding and abetting statute, as well as its California and New York analogs, whoever aids, abets, counsels, commands, induces, procures the commission of an offense is punishable as a principle. You should give these words their ordinary meaning. A person aids or abets a crime, right? If he knowingly does some act for the purpose of aiding or encouraging the commission of that crime, with the intention of causing the crime charge to be committed. To counsel means to give advice or recommend. To induce means to lead or move by persuasion or influence as to some action or state of mind. To procure means to bring about by unscrupulous or indirect means. To cause means to bring something about, to affect something. A person who aids and abets another to commit an offense is just as guilty of that offense as if he had committed it himself. Therefore, if you find that the government has proven beyond a reasonable doubt that another person actually committed a crime and that the defendant aided and abetted that person in the commission of the offense, then you may find Diddy guilty of that crime. Hold on one second, y'all. Hold on one second. Hey, cut it out. Cut it out. Cut it out. My bad, y'all. That dog pregnant out there going crazy. I'm gonna put that dog in that cage tonight. So, as I was saying to y'all, right? So it says, as you can see, the first requirement is that another person has committed the crime charge. Obviously, no one can be convicted of aiding and abetting the criminal acts of another if no crime was committed by another person. But if you do find that a crime was committed, then you must consider whether Diddy aided or abetted the commission of the crime. To aid and abet another to commit a crime, it is necessary that Diddy willfully and knowingly associated himself in some way with the crime, and that he willfully and knowingly sought by some act to help make the crime succeed. The mere presence of a person where a crime is being committed, even coupled with knowledge by that person that a crime is being committed, or the mere acquiescence by a person in a criminal conduct of others, even with guilty knowledge, is not sufficient to establish aiding and abetting. An aiding and abetter must have some interest in criminal venture and must take some action to assist or encourage the commission of crime. To determine whether Diddy aided and abetted in the commission of a crime with which he is charged, ask yourself these questions. 1. Did Diddy participate in the crime charged as something he wished to bring about? 2. Did Diddy associate himself with the criminal venture knowingly and willfully? 3. Did Diddy seek by his actions to make the criminal venture succeed. If he did, then Diddy is an aider and abetter, and therefore guilty of the offense. If he did not, Diddy is not an aider and abetter, and is not guilty as an aider and abetter. So let me give you an example of what it's saying. Let's go to the drug distribution. For example, the drug distribution, right? You had employees say, we were told to go get drugs and go take it to Diddy. We were given money to go buy drugs, and we delivered those drugs straight to Diddy, right? So if the jury believes that Diddy had a hand and those people going to get those drugs for him, he's guilty automatically, even if he didn't go get the drugs himself, because that's called an aider or an abetter, right? So he aided because he the one who sent the instructions for them to go get the drugs for him. That's drug distribution, right? Now, forced labor. Why is it so important that they played those sex tapes in court? Because Diddy is in the background telling everybody what to do in the video. That's why they had them tell y'all, oh, who was controlling the sex sessions? Who was telling y'all what to do? Oh, Diddy. He was saying, do this, do that, do that. Nah, do this, do that, do that, do that, do that. He was controlling. So he aided and abetted in those crimes of forced labor when people was working all those extra hours having sex for all those days. This is what y'all got to understand about the law, right? Straight up. So, right, it says, request number 4, willfully causing a crime. The government can also prove Diddy's guilt by proving beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant Diddy willfully caused a crime, right? Now, the statute on this reads that whoever willfully causes an act to be done, which if directly performed by him or another would be an offense against the United States, shall be guilty of a federal crime. Here, Diddy is charged in counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 with willfully causing another to commit crimes. In short, in considering his guilt on these counts, you should consider whether he committed the crime, aided and abetted the commission of the crime, or caused the commission of the crime. If you find that the government has proven any of these methods of committing the crime, you should find him guilty. You need not find that the government proved all 3 things. So all they had to do is prove one element of those things to find Diddy guilty. That's why I keep trying to tell y'all, these niggas don't know what they talking about on YouTube. They just come on here running their mouth. I'm gonna stir fry them niggas. What does the term willfully cause mean? It means that Diddy himself need not have physically committed the crime or supervised or participated in the actual criminal conduct charged in the indictment. Rather, anyone who causes the doing of an act which is done by him directly would render him guilty of the offense against the United States is guilty. The meaning of the term willfully caused can be found in the answers to the following questions. First, did Diddy, right, considering take some action without which the crime would not have occurred? Right? So did the defendant Diddy, who you are considering, right, take some action without which the crime would not have occurred, right? Second, did the defendant intend that the crime will be actually committed by one or more others? If you are persuaded beyond a reasonable doubt that the answer to both of these questions is yes, then Diddy is guilty of the crime charged, just as if Diddy himself had actually committed it. To prove Diddy's guilt In this way, the government need not prove that Diddy acted through a guilty person. Rather, the defendant can be found guilty even if he acted through someone who has no knowledge of the illicit acts charged in the indictment or otherwise is not proven or is not guilty of any crime, right? So y'all listen to what I'm saying now. Request number 5, general definitions, unlawfully, intentionally, willfully, and knowingly, right? Throughout these instructions, I will use terms unlawfully, intentionally, and knowingly. Unlawfully simply means contrary to law. A defendant does not need to have known that he was breaking any particular law, but he must have been aware of the generally unlawful nature of his acts. A person acts willfully and intentionally if he acts purposely and voluntarily with a specific intent to disobey and disregard the law, right? Then let's talk about this, right? So it says, a defendant does not need to have known that he was breaking a particular law, but he must have been aware of generally unlawful nature of his acts. A person willfully and intentionally, if he acts purposely and voluntarily and with the specific intent to disobey or disregard the law, it is not necessary that the defendant knew he was violating a particular law. It is enough if he was aware of what he was doing, right? So it says a person acts knowingly if he acts voluntarily and deliberately and not mistakenly or inadvertently. Knowledge is a matter of inference from the proven facts. Science has not yet devised a manner of forming, right, or of looking into a person's mind and knowing what that person is thinking. The government has introduced into evidence, right? The government has introduced into evidence certain acts and conversations alleged to have taken place with Diddy or in his presence. You must consider this evidence or lack of evidence in determining whether the government has proved beyond a reasonable doubt that Diddy's knowledge of the unlawful purposes of the conspiracy, right? And then it goes on, it talks about the conspiracy and substantive counts, right? So it talks about that. Then it goes on and talks about count 2 and count 4, elements of the offense, the indictment and the statute, right? So it talks about that. Then it goes on some more and talks about count 2 and count 4, elements of the offense. First element, enticement, transportation, solicitation, right? So let's talk about that right there, right? These are all different jury instructions. Request number 9, counts 2 and 4, elements of the offense. Second elements, force, fraud, coercion, right? So it's going to talk about all those things as far as force, fraud, and coercion. Then it goes on. I told y'all it's 118 pages long, man. This is unbelievable work right here, bro. But then it goes on, and it just continues to go on, you guys. Request number 10, counts 2 and 4, elements of the offense. Third element, interstate commerce, right? So you have that, right? So yeah, man, this is just crazy work, bro. Request number 11, counts 3 and 5, elements of the offense, the indictment, and the statute. And it just keeps going on. Request number 12, on counts 3 and 5 as well. knowing transport and interstate or foreign commerce. Diddy's gonna get found guilty of the RICO, bro. If all they gotta do is find him guilty of 2 of these acts, bro, he's out of here, bro. I don't think y'all really understand that, man. All this shit I'm reading, bro, man. So yeah, all right. Let me see. Number 14, federal law of conspiracy, right? That goes a long ways. Number 15, state law of conspiracy, right? These are all the instructions they're going to give these people. Number 16, count 1 elements of the offense, the indictment, and the statute. Man. So, all these things, bro, in this new filing, y'all. I mean, damn, dog. The government went, bro, the jury instructions are going to be hell, bro. Diddy is, man, there ain't no way, bro. And that's why I told anybody, just put your money up, nigga. I guarantee that nigga ain't walking out of jail for free. I promise y'all this. Put your chips up, nigga. That's all y'all gotta do is put them chips up. And I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that. No question. So salute to everybody that subscribed to the channel, supported the channel. That biggest lie that's going on around YouTube is that they dropped charges against Diddy. They did not drop charges. What they did was they streamlined things, and they basically are not focusing on certain predicates. So they drop certain predicate. You understand what I'm saying? Things under the RICO. They didn't drop charges against Diddy. Like, share, subscribe, man.
All right, you guys. So we appreciate everybody that popped in, supported this video. Make sure that you guys shop our merch. We got that new A-Weapons merchandise right there below this video. All you got to do is look below. The links will be pinned at the top of the comment section as well to get the merch, to donate, support the channel, and subscribe to our podcast show. You'll see all those links pinned at the top of the comment section of this video. And we appreciate everybody that supports this channel and our networks. Also, that straight drop weight loss formula. Go to the website. You guys will see that. A link for that will be pinned at the top of the comment section as well. Go right there for all of your weight loss needs. Straight drop weight loss formula. We have a lot of testimonials on the website. You can go to www.str-8-drop.com and get you some of the weight loss formula today. Take your weight loss serious. Get in the gym, work out, exercise, and do what you got to do to stay on point. We appreciate everybody that's been locked into this video. Again, all the links are pinned at the top of the comment section below. Salute to all of y'all. And again, we appreciate everybody who support what we doing over here.